Hello, everybody. My name is Stephen Malabicki, and thank you for joining my summer camp. This video is going to be on our first topic of the summer, Module 1, Topic 1, Fundamental Concepts. And this video is on our topic introduction, Understanding Basic Operations. So we're going to learn the basic rules of adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. I'm sure many of you already know how to do this, but if you don't, we're going to need to know these rules. Otherwise, you won't be able to do order of operations and other stuff throughout the course. So here is our introduction, understanding basic operations. Our rules for addition of integers. When you're adding two numbers, if they are the same, add the numbers and keep the sign. And when adding two numbers together with different signs, you actually subtract the numbers and keep the sign of the bigger number. So I gave you some examples here. And the first few are real basic. Obviously, when you're adding two positive numbers, you'll get a positive number back. But it just follows this rule that when they have the same sign, notice 9 is positive, 15 is positive, so they're the same sign. We're just going to add the numbers, and 9 plus 15 is 24. Okay? And we keep the same sign, so since both 9 and 15 are positive, the 24 is positive. Positive 12 plus positive 6, the positive 18. And positive 43 plus positive 12 equals positive 55. Okay? Both of these numbers have the same sign, both positive, so we simply add the numbers and keep the same sign, which is positive. Now, some of you may not have added negative numbers before, and this is really the reason why we're doing these basic operations. It's because when you add negative numbers, how does that change what we do? And I want you to know that all three of these, we're going to add C plus plus plus. So we're going to add these three examples, and they all have the same sign. -5 and a -8. -23 and a -20. -7 and a -14. Okay, so we're adding two numbers with the same sign, both negative. And what you do is you just add the numbers and keep the same sign. So -5 plus -8, we're going to add the 5 and 8, which is 13, but we keep the negative sign with it, so it's -13. 23 plus 20 is 43. We keep the same sign, so it's -43. And when you add -7 plus -14, the two numbers are both negative. They're the same sign, so we're going to add them. 7 plus 14 is 21, and we keep the negative sign. And here's what I just stated. Since both numbers are the same sign, both negative, we simply add the two numbers together and keep the negative sign as part of my final answer. Now, the second rule is when adding two numbers together that have different signs. Okay, you must subtract the numbers and keep the sign of the bigger number. So as you can see for number 7, one sign is positive, the 8, and the other sign is negative, the 12, and we are adding. Okay, so -12 plus 8, we actually subtract the 12 and the 8, which gives us 4, but the bigger number is negative. -12 is bigger than 8, right? So it's -4. Here, the 14 is positive. We're adding. The 23 is negative, so my signs are different, which means we're going to actually subtract. 23 minus 14 is 9. The bigger number is negative, so it's -9. 32 is positive, 11 is negative. We're adding, which means we actually subtract the numbers. 32 minus 11 is 21. The bigger number is positive. 32 is bigger than 11. So since the 32 is positive, my final answer is positive 21. And 12 plus -3, for the same reasons, is going to be 9. Okay. Both numbers are different signs. One of them is positive, one of them is negative. So we simply subtract the numbers and keep the sign, sorry about that, of the biggest number. Okay. All right, now let's look at subtracting integers. When subtracting two numbers, okay, eventually you'll be able to do this without the introductory, the preliminary step. But until you can do it like in your head or know what the rules are without doing this step, you simply you change the minus sign to a plus sign, change the sign of the number next to it to its other sign, and then it becomes an addition problem. So we just follow these steps right here and look at these examples again. So to clear what that means, okay, here's examples of subtracting integers. Okay, the first couple are basic. You know 9 minus 4 is 5. But what we're doing is 9 minus 4, we change the minus sign to a plus sign. So we're going to do in all of these until you can do it without having to do this. We change the minus sign to a plus sign, and this 4 becomes a negative 4. Okay? Now, we just learned that when you add two numbers and the signs are different, you actually subtract and keep the sign of the bigger number. So 9 minus 4 is 5, and it'll be a positive 5. 22 minus 11, okay, the minus turns into a plus sign, and the 11 turns into a negative 11. The signs are different. 22 is positive, 11 is negative, so we subtract, which is 11, and the bigger number is positive, so it's positive 11. Now, what about this one? Negative 9 minus 20. Okay? You change the minus sign to a plus sign, and then the 20 becomes a negative 20. So now notice we're adding two numbers with the same sign. And we just learned that when you add two numbers with the same sign, you actually add the numbers and keep the sign. So 9 plus 20 is 29. The answer would be negative 29. And number 4 is the exact same type of example. Negative 15, the minus turns to a plus, and the 50 turns to a negative 50. They're both negative numbers. So when you add two numbers of the same sign, you add the numbers. So 15 plus 50 is 65, and you keep the sign negative 65. Now, this minus turns into a plus sign, and the negative 12 turns into a positive 12. What I tell my students is, when you see minus minus, change it to plus plus. So 43 minus a negative 12 is the same thing as 42 plus a positive 12. Minus minus becomes plus plus. So 43 plus 12 is 55. Here's another minus minus, so we're going to write it plus plus. So 17 plus positive 13 is 30. Negative 4 minus 9 should be negative 4 plus a negative 9. Which is negative 13. The minus becomes plus a negative sign. Okay? So minus minus is plus positive, minus positive, minus is a plus negative. Okay? It's like this minus becomes a plus negative. Add the two negative numbers together, negative 35. Minus minus becomes plus plus, so 46 plus 12 is 58. And a minus becomes plus a negative. Both of these numbers are negative, so we add them, and it's negative 32. So in these examples, we change the minus sign to a plus sign, change the sign of the following number, and then we just follow our addition rules of integers. Okay. And adding and subtracting integers is hard for some students, but it just takes practice. And once you get that, then it should be okay. Right here. Multiplying and dividing are usually easier for students. You just have to pay attention to what's going on, not make any careless mistakes. Okay. So the rules for multiplying and dividing. Sorry about that. Whenever you multiply or divide two numbers of the same sign, the answer is always positive. And whenever you multiply or divide two numbers of the different sign, the answer is always negative. So 9 times 4, a positive times a positive, same sign, you get a positive 36. Notice both of these numbers here are negative, so a negative times negative is positive. Same sign always gives you a positive answer. And 4 times 12 is 48. Again, both the same sign, both negative, so it's a positive answer. 11 times 4 is 44. 8 times 10, same sign, both positive, so the answer is positive, and 8 times 10 is 80. And two negative numbers, same sign, answer is positive, and 5 times 15 is 75. And the same rule for division. These are all the same sign. Both of these numbers are positive. Both of these numbers are negative. Both of these numbers are negative. Both positive and both negative. And notice all of my answers are positive answer. So 36 divided by 4 is 9. Negative 24 divided by negative 8 is negative 3. Negative 88 divided by negative 8 is 11. 42 divided by 7 is 6. And negative 100 divided by negative 2500 is 4. Okay, all these examples are positive since we are multiplying and dividing by the same sign. And for division, notice all my answers here are negative, and that becomes one's positive, one's negative, one's positive, one's negative, one's negative, one's positive. In division here, same thing, negative and positive, positive and negative. So when the signs are different, the answer is just negative. Okay, so 16 times 3 is 48, but it's going to be negative 48. Okay? 7 times 8 is 56, so it's negative 56. Some people look at number 15. Some people think like adding and subtracting that the bigger number matters. It does not. It does not matter for adding and subtracting. So 11 times negative 2. Some people will say this is a positive 22 because 11 is a bigger number. That's not the rule for multiplying or dividing. One's positive, one's negative. The answer is always going to be negative. Okay? So you can take a look at those 10 examples, easy multiplication, easy division. You just have to understand that when you're multiplying and dividing by different signs, one of the numbers is positive or the other number is negative, then you're going to get a negative answer. Okay? So this is the end of this first topic, and we'll be doing order of operations next. Thank you. Have a good day.